Hey everybody, Uncle Rich here for Who's Telling the Truth. This is show 68, and today is October 6th, 2014. That job sign, the name of the show is Jobs. And guys, I was just gonna do the show on jobs and how many jobs are being created in the renewable energy field. But something happened while I was blogging. And what happened made me think of hate and fear. So then I said to myself, now wait a minute. Should I go with the hate and fear, or should I go with the jobs? Hate and fear or jobs? So I said, what would Fox News do? So I'm going to start with hate and fear. But guys, I was sitting home, minding my own business, blogging along, and I got Fox News in the background. I watch Fox News all the time, so I know exactly what the think tanks at Fox News are coming up with. So I'm sitting there minding my own business, and this is what I hear come to me over Fox News. John?
There's a reason fewer Republicans, you hear them running around about Obamacare. Because while good, affordable health care might seem like a fanged threat to the freedom of the American people on Fox News, it turns out it's working pretty well in the real world.
Holy mackerel. Anytime Obama disses Fox News, you got my complete attention. So what did he say? He said Obamacare has been treated as a fanged threat to freedom. On Fox News, but in the real world, things are completely different. So guys, now we're gonna play the full clip, and we're gonna present you with the facts, the whole facts, and nothing but the facts. So John, let's have the next clip.
Those are the facts. It's not conjecture, it's not opinion, it's not partisan rhetoric. I laid out facts. So I've laid out what I know has happened over the 6 years of my presidency so far, and I've laid out an agenda for what I think should happen to make us grow even better, grow even faster. A true opposition party should now have the courage to lay out their agenda, hopefully also grounded in facts. There's a reason fewer Republicans are preaching doom on the deficits. It's because the deficits have come down at almost a record pace, and they're now manageable. There's a reason fewer Republicans, you hear them running around about Obamacare. Because while good, affordable health care might seem like a fanged threat to the freedom of the American people on Fox News, it turns out it's working pretty well in the real world. Now, when push came to shove this year and Republicans in Congress actually had to take a stand on policies that would help the middle class and working Americans, like raising the minimum wage or enacting fair pay or refinancing student loans or extending insurance for the unemployed, the answer was no.
So guys, I sent this clip to our buddy, Uncle Joey. Uncle Joe! Sent it to Uncle Joe, and I asked him what he thought about it. And Uncle Joe said, he lies more than a rug. And I said, holy mackerel, I haven't heard that in so long. He lies like a rug. Now that's a fact. Now that was Uncle Joe's reply. So then he added, Just because someone says something does not mean it is so. Well, you know what? Joe's got a very valid point. So what is the one way that we've found here on Who's Telling the Truth, the one way that we can settle any debate when it comes to things statistically? What's the one way we do it? Through charts, right? We charts, show me the charts, and that's all we want to do because the charts are as plain as the nose on my face. So John, all right, John's a step ahead of me, so he's already got the first chart up here. Now, what did Obama say? He said the deficit has gone down appreciably, right? Is that what he said? He said it dramatically. Well, guys, there it is. Look at the, in billions of dollars, the federal deficit from 2010, 2011 was about the same, 2012 was a big drop, and 2013 was a huge drop. So Obama wasn't lying, Joe. Now, let's go, John, stay with that chart, bring it up again, bring it, there you go. And on the right-hand side, you see the GDP, okay? And how Obama's brought that down. So you can see. All right, now, come back to me again, but let's go to the next one. And guys, what did Obama say about Obamacare? Guys, look at that chart. Just take a look at that chart. It looks like it fell off a cliff. When somebody uses the expression, it fell off a cliff, this is the chart you want to show them. Unemployment, John, bring it back up. It was at, uninsured Americans were at almost 18%. Almost 1 in 5 Americans were uninsured. Since Obamacare took effect, look at that. In 1 year, we've brought it down to 13.4% of the population is still not insured. But look at look how effective. So John, okay, come. So Joe, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but every time you try to diss Obama, you end up getting bada binged. Why? Because you never do your homework. You're full of so much hate. You know, you hate your fellow Americans. You don't want to see people paid an equal wage for equal work, for women. You know, all these things, it goes against everything that you believe in. And we're going to show you another document that I showed to Uncle Joey. We're going to get to that in a second. But before we do that, we're going to go to Fox and Friends in the morning, and we're going to take a look at what Fox and Friends did on national TV. So, John, hit it.
And this is a political thing, but you're part of the administration. They feel that the administration has misled a lot of people on a lot of things. Why should we believe you when you're telling us this stuff?
Well, our approach at CDC is always to tell people more rather than less.
Can you believe this? John, can you play that clip? Now, wait, before you play it, though, listen to what he said. Steve Doocy is asking Dr. Tom Frieden, the director of the Center for Disease Control, the director for the Center of Disease Control, why should we believe you? I can't believe that but listen to it. John, play the clip again.
And this is a political thing, but you're part of the administration. They feel that the administration has misled a lot of people on a lot of things. Why should we believe you when you're telling us this stuff?
Well, our approach at CDC is always to tell people more rather than less.
Guys, you heard it. You heard the clip. Now we're going to play the entire clip from its inception, and then we're going to come back and we're going to show you something I think is really, it's going to make the hair stand up on the back of your neck. So John, play the full clip.
This is a Fox News alert. For the first time, the Ebola virus is in the United States. The patient in isolation after being diagnosed at a Dallas, Texas hospital. CDC Director Dr. Tom Frieden joins us right now, live from Atlanta, Georgia. Good morning to you, Doctor.
Good morning.
I know I saw your press conference yesterday. I know you say the public does not need to worry about it, but I got to tell you something. My daughter works in the building directly across the street from the hospital, and I talked to her last night. She's a little freaked out.
I understand that people are scared. It's a scary disease, but she's not a contact. Let's go back and look at the plain truth of how Ebola spreads. It only spreads from someone who's sick and only spreads from direct contact with the person or their body fluids.
All right. We asked folks if they had any questions for you, and we have hundreds of questions. Somebody coincidentally by the name of Sally, my daughter's name, wrote this. Why are we not stopping air travel between Liberia and other nations struggling with the virus? Why allow flights into the United States, Doctor?
The bottom line is that the best way to protect Americans is, first, stop it at the source in Africa. Second, make sure that every single traveler who leaves the countries where Ebola is spreading gets screened for fever, and CDC teams are on the ground and have made sure that that happens 100% of the time. And third, make sure that doctors and other health workers in this country think about the possibility of Ebola in anyone who's been in West Africa for the past 21 days and test them and isolate them if they have been.
Let me ask you this. You say that we've got CDC people there on the ground in West Africa screening people as they get on the airplane. How do they do that? Do they just say, do you have a fever? Do they have some sort of a wand to wave to see if they've got a fever? Or do they just ask them?
Two different processes. One is a questionnaire where a series of questions is asked, and second, there are handheld thermometers that actually work from a distance. So every single patient's temperature is measured at least once, often 2 or 3 times before they get on the plane. That's important not only to protect other people, but also to keep the airlines flying. You know, the impulse might be to isolate these countries. If we do that, we'll actually be increasing our own risk, because really, the simple truth is, by stopping it there and by helping them stop it there, we're helping ourselves.
During your press conference, you talked about how this guy's family there in the Dallas area, you're monitoring them. I know 3 of the emergency workers who drove the ambulance are being monitored. What about the people who were in the emergency room when he first came in and said, I don't feel good, and they said, take some antibiotics, go home? Those people are being monitored too, right?
We have a 9-person team in Dallas working with the hospital, with the health department, and the family to identify every possible contact.
Good.
And we'll be monitoring every one of those individuals for 21 days.
Okay.
That's the tried and true public health means of stopping an Ebola outbreak.
One other theme we got on the email, Doctor, was this. And this is a political thing, but you're part of the administration. They feel that the administration has misled a lot of people on a lot of things. Why should we believe you when you're telling us this stuff?
Well, our approach at CDC is always to tell people more rather than less. We're going to tell you what happens, when it happens. When we don't know something, we'll tell you that as well. We level with people because that's the most important way, and that's the most effective way to get the information across and to get people to understand what we need to do. And the fact is that what we need to do here is to trace every one of the contact carefully, and more broadly, to help stop it in Africa for not just their sakes, but for ours.
All right. Dr. Frieden, join us today from the CDC in Atlanta. I know you got a busy day. Thank you very much for spending a little time with us today, Doctor.
Thank you.
All right. Now, that was the full clip. That was just as I got it off of YouTube. Now, guys, on the next clip, I want you to pay close attention. And Kurt's our sound guy. Kurt, we got to try to help me out here because I want you guys to listen at the 10-second mark and at the 14-second mark. So just keep in your head, count to 10, and you can hear Steve Doocy say, he says, good, and then he says, okay, as if he's, being prompted, as if somebody is telling him what to say. So we're going to play this clip, and like I said, at the 10-second mark and at the 14-second mark, listen very carefully. And Kurt, if you could try to give us a lot of volume on this, and John, hit it.
Those people are being monitored too, right?
We have a 9-person team in Dallas working with the hospital, with the health department, and the family to identify every possible contact.
Good.
And we'll be monitoring every one of those individuals for 21 days.
Okay.
That's the tried and true public health means of stopping an Ebola outbreak.
One other theme we got on the email, Doctor, was this. And this is a political thing, but you're part of the administration. They feel that the administration has misled a lot of people on a lot of things. Why should we believe you when you're telling us this?
Guys, did you pick it up? Were you able to catch it? So it sounds like somebody was telling him what to say. And right after that was the political question with the outrage and the hate. And the stuff that you say to scare the fat old white people. And this is how Fox likes to do it. Outrage them and scare the hell out of them. These poor people, they don't know if they're coming or they're going when they watch Fox. And it's quite obvious because we prove it to you. Now, when I say he's listening to Koch brothers think tanks, you're going to say, Rich, come on, you're making this stuff up. Where you get all this stuff? Guys, we're going to show you, right now, we're going to show you a little, it's not a clip, it's a still about, the Koch brothers and what the Koch brothers want. So, John, if we could just throw this up, and I'm going to read, and we'll jump back and forth. But I'm going to read it, and as a result of the disastrous Citizens United Supreme Court decision, billionaires and large corporations can now spend an unlimited amount of money to influence the political process. Perhaps the biggest winners of Citizens United are Charles and David Koch, owners of the second largest privately run business in America, Koch Industries. Among other things, the Koch brothers own oil refineries in Texas, Alaska, and Minnesota, and control some 4,000 miles of pipeline. According to Forbes magazine, the Koch brothers are now worth $80 billion and have increased their wealth by $12 billion since last year alone. For the Koch brothers, $80 billion in wealth apparently is not good enough. Owning the second largest company in America is apparently not good enough. It doesn't appear that they will be satisfied until they are able to control the entire political process. It is well known that the Koch brothers have provided the major source of funding to the Tea Party and want to repeal the Affordable Care Act. What else do the Koch brothers want? In 1980, David Koch ran as the Libertarians' vice presidential candidate. Let's take a look at 1980 Libertarian Party. Yeah, just come back to me for a second, John. So guys, these are people that have everything, but they want more. And this is what's so sad. And these are the type of people that Uncle Joe will defend. He'll pretend he doesn't understand science so that these guys can make more money. All right, now, we're going to move on to the now, on Fox, you always seem to hear they want smaller government. And at first when you hear it, smaller government, yeah, that's for me, I want. Well, why do they want smaller government? The reason why they want smaller government is so that they can create more problems. And what do I mean by that? Well, if you get rid of the EPA, well, let's read. Let's read their agenda. And bear with me, guys. I got to change pages here. This is the first time we're using the computer on on TV, so I do kind of feel proud about this. All right, so let's see. So we're going to take a look at the Libertarian Party. And here's just a few excerpts from it. We urge the repeal of the federal campaign finance laws and the immediate abolition of the despotic Federal Election Commission. We favor the abolition of Medicare and Medicaid. They want your money. Just like George Carlin said, we oppose any compulsory insurance or tax-supported plan to provide health services, including those which finance abortion services. Guys, they don't want to help. They want to make sure you pay for your health care out of your own pocket or you don't have it. I mean, is this sick stuff? We favor the repeal of the fraudulent, virtually bankrupt, and increasingly oppressive Social Security system. Pending that repeal, participation in Social Security should be made voluntary. They want to get rid of the Postal Service. They support repeal of a law which impede the ability of any person to find employment, such as minimum wage laws. John, can you come back to me? We're going to go to the... Can you believe these guys? They want everything for themselves and nothing for anybody else. These are the guys that when you have a pizza party and you have a pizza with 100 slices, they come up and they take 99. That's the way they are. That's the way they think. And you know, why are they so opposed to Obamacare? Because Obamacare imposes a tax on them. You don't tell the richest people in the world they have to pay a tax. They tell you. Well, guess what? Obama told them. Bada bing. Let's see what else they don't want. They don't want anything. They want to be able to pollute at will. So let's see. We'll take a last look at the last part. So they want no minimum wage. They want to they want to abolish the Environmental Protection Agency. Why would they want to do that? Because if they get rid of the EPA, they can put as much carbon in the air as they want. They can pollute the streams, the rivers. They can pollute out. They can make more profit. That's all they care about is the profit. They also want to get rid of the Department of Energy. They want to get rid of the Department of Transportation. You know what? Why don't they just put down what they want to keep? Money. That's the only thing they want. All right, John, you can come back to me now. I mean, this is, if you guys haven't got the idea of what's going on, and I tell you, when it comes to the Koch brothers and the Koch brothers think tanks, you know, like the Discovery Institute and the Heritage Foundation and the Cato Institute, the amount of money that the Koch brothers spend to turn the average people into simple folk. You know, people that deny science, that don't understand science. Why? Because they want to promote their fossil fuel agenda. And I tell you, the next clip, this is from Chris Hayes, and this is about Kansas, and the fact that Kansas is Koch country. But also, guys, the one thing that's going on in Kansas that is just that they're just spitting in the Koch brothers' faces is renewable energy, and especially wind. So, John, let's have the next clip.
Koch brothers are spending millions of dollars to support their kind of political candidates, but none of them strike as close to home as the election in 1980, which featured the one candidacy ever financed by a Koch brother, in which a Koch brother himself was on the ballot. New York Times had an incredible piece this weekend highlighting long-forgotten documents on David Koch's quixotic campaign for the vice presidential nomination on the Libertarian Party ticket in 1980. The article provides a window into just how long the Koch brothers have been politically advocating for their vision for America and how much more sophisticated they have become at doing it over the years. But as we continue our special All in America reporting, no matter how much they have honed their technique, the Kochs have actually been recently dealt a humiliating defeat in, of all places, their own home state of Kansas.
And speaking of conservative heroes, the Koch brothers bought a table here tonight, but as usual, they used a shadowy right-wing organization as a front. Hello, Fox News.
Charles and David Koch, who have helped fund efforts across the country to stymie solar power, to repeal renewable energy mandates, to foster climate change denialists, even to get members of Congress to promise to vote against climate change legislation unless it is linked to tax cuts. Those brothers are from Kansas. Kansas is Koch country. Wichita is the home and headquarters of Koch Industries, the $100 billion oil and industrial company that provides the Koch brothers with much of their $80 billion fortune. The brothers helped finance the 2012 overthrow of Republican moderates in the Kansas legislature in what one ousted Republican deemed an effort to use their home state as a laboratory for their ideas, turning it into what he called an ultra-conservative utopia. Koch Industries has been one of the biggest contributors to Kansas Governor Sam Brownback and one of the biggest contributors to Congressman Mike Pompeo.
With respect to climate change, I've read countless studies, and they disagree.
And one of the biggest contributors to Senator Jerry Moran, who recently read out a Koch brother op-ed on the floor of the United States Senate.
This is an opinion piece from today's Wall Street Journal, written by a Kansan, Charles Koch.
The Koch brothers have been fighting renewable energy everywhere across the country, from Oklahoma to North Carolina to Ohio to Arizona. The fight has been particularly toxic in Kansas against the state's renewable portfolio standard, which requires utility companies to get 20% of their energy from renewable sources by 2020. The Koch-funded Americans for Prosperity has spent $300,000 on a campaign against that Kansas law.
Before Kathleen Sebelius went to Washington to overtake our healthcare system, she proposed a mandate that would limit the sources of Kansas electricity.
The director of AFP Kansas just admitted to helping set up a group that sent out postcards to Kansans saying that green energy makes their electric bills go up. And state activists say AFP and their allies have tried 6 times just this year to repeal the renewable energy mandates in the Kansas legislature. So why is the fight against green energy so important in Kansas? Could it possibly have anything to do with the fact that if you want to see some of the best examples of benefits of renewable energy, you need look no further than the Koch brothers' own backyard?
We hope that those of you who are in Greensburg will remain in your shelters. A tornado emergency declared by the National Weather Service.
The night of May 4th, 2007, a massive tornado, more than 1.5 miles wide, tore through the tiny western Kansas town of Greensburg. 11 people died. Greensburg was utterly destroyed, 95% of it erased. But when it came time to rebuild, the city decided to embrace the same force of nature that leveled it.
100% of the consumption of the city of Greensburg is from alternative energy, the wind. Not only is it the wind that destroyed our community, it's the wind now that's generating electricity for our community.
Not only is the city now powered by wind, townhouses are energy efficient, City Hall has solar panels and geothermal heating, and the school, the hospital, even the local John Deere building are LEED certified. The mayor of Greensburg says going green made sense to him as a Republican.
As we thought about the process of talking about, quote, being green since we were Greensburg, your first impression in rural America was, oh, that is something that is political. That's left wing, that's new age, that's secular stuff. When in fact it's not. It's not an issue of whether it's Democrat or Republican or up or down or right or left. It's about our issue to leave legacy for future generations.
See that, guys? It's not up or down or right or left. It's not Democrat or Republican. It's doing the right thing for the next generation. Let's get this right. You know, like we said in the last show, there's no planet B. This is it. We lose this one, we're in trouble. You know? And I tell you, hopefully in the near future, we'll be able to say that Kansas isn't Coke country. You know, because hopefully we can drive these guys out of business. And you know, the funny thing is, whenever I think of the Koch brothers, I think of the movie Trading Places, and I think of the two brothers in the movie Trading Places. And the one scene I'm sure that everybody remembers is the $1 bet. So John, here's what.
Pay up, Mortimer. I've won the bet.
Here, $1.
We took a perfectly useless psychopath like Valentine and turned him into a successful executive. And during the same time, we turned an honest, hard-working man into a violently deranged would-be killer. Now, what are we going to do about taking Winthrop back and returning Valentine to the ghetto?
I don't want Winthrop back after what he's done.
You mean keep Valentine on as managing director?
Do you really believe I would have a nigger run our family business, Randolph?
Of course not. Neither would I. I do think we should hold off on switching them back, though, until we get that crop report New Year's Eve, don't you?
Absolutely. No sense rocking the boat until then.
If Mr. Beeks does what we paid him to do, we should have a very happy New Year.
Indeed.
Guys, it's, you know, it's like they don't they have no concept for the value of money. None. And it's, you know, and that's the way I think of the Koch brothers. When you have $80 billion, why do you need, how much more do you need? It gets to the point where it can't be the money anymore. It's got to be the domination. They got to want to take control of the country. It's the only thing it could be. Now, the only way you can teach these guys a lesson is to beat them at their own game. Now, how do you do that? Well, we've got to make renewable energy commercially viable, which it is. And the next clip, listen carefully, and you're going to hear how solar is going head-to-head with no subsidies with all the other forms of generation. And guys, when we can start to generate more power with the free market than they can over the stuff that they have to control us with the fossil fuels, the 1% and the Koch brothers in the fossil fuel industry don't like that. So let's watch this clip and listen to what the people from NRG Energy say about how commercially viable solar is. So John, hit it.
This is what a power plant looks like in the 21st century.
Well, today we're celebrating the completion of the Avra Valley Power Plant, which is a 25 megawatt facility using thin film solar photovoltaic technology. one of the virtues of that specific type of technology is that it's tolerant of being dusty or dirty without much degradation. You know, a 25 megawatt power plant is kind of emerging as a bit of a sweet spot in the industry.
In our fence line, we have 230 acres, and approximately 160 acres of that is actually under solar panels.
The site was chosen for its location because it's a former agricultural site. This is an old cotton farm that had been retired.
And this facility has a tracking system on it, with as opposed to just a fixed mounted system, a system that tracks the sun over the course of the day. For the same acreage, you get about 25% more production out of your panels. So it's economic and it's a better use of the land.
More Arizonans are procuring more solar today at a lower cost than ever before in Arizona history.
Solar energy has now become a commercially viable technology, and it's dropped in price to the point where we believe that it was capable of competing with other forms of energy without subsidy, which is a bit of the holy grail for the solar power industry.
So we have more solar DG per capita in Arizona than California, our neighbor to the west. We're #1 in rooftop solar in the Southwest. Solar installations are up 333% in 1 year. Tremendous, tremendous growth.
And this is not just a power plant for us. It's not just a way to displace 51,000 and some tons of CO2 a year or serve 5,000 homes. It exemplifies what we set out to do. We want it to be cost effective for our customers. Let's have renewable energy not be just a story of subsidies, not just be a story of redistributing resources, but let's have it be a story of value so that people want to support renewable energy, want that to continue as a sustainable part of the infrastructure of our community. This project, 25 megawatts, for us it's the largest one on our system. It's on time, it's on budget, it's well done because we have great partners, companies like First Solar and NRG. So this is a success story, a 21st century power plant.
All right, so guys, you can see with solar, you're building value, and people want it. You know, they're starting to demand it. And, you know, like we said, it's not so much when the people demand it. It's when the corporate profits start to demand it. When all of a sudden the companies start to say, hey, wait a minute. I can put up a solar field or I could put up a windmill and I don't have to worry about an oil spill, killing fish or killing property or killing birds or killing anything. I mean, you know, once you've reached what they call the Holy Grail, you know, where you can put up renewables without subsidies, the game's over. The science is settled. All my blogging buddies, the science is never settled. Well, let me tell you something. The science is settled unless you can prove it wrong. And if you want to spend the time and the effort to try to prove everybody that's already proved global warming is happening, then go ahead, knock yourself out. But why waste your time? Why keep swimming upstream? Join the crowd, put solar panels on your roof, create trickle-down economics, start putting the money in your pocket, and stop fooling yourself. It's that simple. Nice and easy. Couldn't get any simpler, you know? Oh, and speaking of job creators, Sidal Media, next week, he's going to have, Solar City is putting the panels on his house. So hopefully Sid is going to let me show all this paperwork, and, you know, he's going to, you know, I'm sure he'll let us see everything. I want to try to video the guys putting the panels on the roof and everything. And guys, we'll be able to, you know, we'll be able to show you everything verbatim. And, you know, hopefully with Sid, everything will go smooth, the weather will be good, and all those other things. But, guys, getting back to the Koch brothers, we want to play one final clip from Trading Places. And this is what happens when you beat them at their own game. And I tell you, I love this so much because this is really the only thing that these people understand. So, John, hit it.
You know, you can't just go run and shoot people in the kneecaps with a double-barrel shotgun because you pissed at them.
Why not?
It's called assault with a deadly weapon. You get 20 years for that shit.
Listen, do you have any better ideas?
Yeah, you know, it occurs to me that the best way you hurt rich people is by turning them into poor people.
I have to admit, sir, you didn't like it yourself a bit.
And now for the news.
Under heavy security, the crop estimates for next year's orange crop are being delivered from Miami to the Department of Agriculture in Washington, D.C.
Louis, that's him. That's the guy who paid me to talk dirty to you.
In charge of security is Mr. Clarence Beeks, head of Lyndhurst Security.
Clarence Beeks! The Duke just gave that guy 10 grand.
10 grand? I saw an outlay on the payroll to him for 50,000. Mortimer said it was for research.
Yeah, researching how he can get his hands on that top-secret crop report 2 days before it goes public.
My God. The Dukes are going to corner the entire frozen orange juice market.
Unless somebody stops them.
Or beats them to it. Eggnog.
We want you to buy as much OJ as you can the instant trading starts.
Don't worry if the price starts going up. Just keep buying.
But, gentlemen, they're going to broadcast the crop report in an hour. What if they're...
Let us worry about that, Wilson.
Yes, sir.
Now, the Duke's trader is going to be buying like crazy right from the opening.
We'll be waiting until he drives the price up.
Right. I can't wait to see his face when they broadcast that genuine crop report.
Hey, the Dukes are trying to corner the market.
They know something. I can feel it.
Let's get in on it.
200, take them. 200.
Louis!
Not yet. Almost. 220, take them. 209. Yeah, got them.
140.
Hey, today, Minneapolis. Now. South Darling April at 142.
That's not right. How can the price be going down? Something's wrong. Where's Wilson? What are they doing here? They're selling, Mortimer. Well, that's ridiculous. Unless that crop report... God help us!
I told you we shouldn't have committed everything, you asshole!
Happy New Year!
Winthrop.
Valentine,
Hey, how'd you make out today?
how could you do this to us after everything we've done for you?
Oh, see, I made Louis a bet here. Louis bet me that we couldn't both get rich and put you on the poorhouse at the same time. He didn't think we could do it. I won.
I lost. $1.
Thank you, Louis.
After you.
Certainly.
Margin call, gentlemen. Oh, you can't expect us to...
You know the rules of the exchange, Mr. Duke. All accounts to be settled at the end of the day's trading, without exception.
You know perfectly well we don't have $394 million in cash.
I'm sorry, boys. Put the Duke brothers' seats on the exchange up for sale at once. Seize all assets of Duke and Duke Commodities Brokers, as well as all personal holdings of Randolph and Mortimer Duke.
My God. We're ruined.
This is an outrage. I demand an investigation. You can't sell our seats. A Duke has been sitting on this exchange since it was founded. We founded this exchange. It's ours. It belongs to us.
My God.
Mortimer, your brother's not well. We better call an ambulance. Fuck him!
Guys, so the Koch brothers are trying to corner the fossil fuel market. Hey, you know what, guys? They can have it. They can have all the oil they want. I mean, we could put up renewable stuff. We don't need the fossil. We don't need to send our kids over to keep the shipping lanes open for fossil fuels. We don't need to have them getting killed to perpetuate this fossil fuel garbage when they could be falling off of roofs, putting up solar panels. Hey guys, why not? You know, I mean, this is the war we should be fighting. The war on carbon. You know, the next clip we're going to show you is really, this is going to push the Koch brothers over the edge. But, you know, we've already talked about the Gigafactory in Reno, Nevada with Tesla, and the fact that it's going to create 6,500 jobs. And that's really what the show, I really wanted the show to be about, till we got delayed. But anyway, so Governor Brian Savola, I think that's his last name, we're going to show him at the press conference for the Gigafactory in Reno, Nevada. So John, hit it.
This Gigafactory will mean nearly $100 billion in economic impact to Nevada over the next 20 years. Think about that. It will create 3,000 immediate construction jobs for Nevada workers. When completed, it will employ 6,500 people on site with an average wage in excess of $25 per hour with excellent benefits. Talk to those 6,500 people who are going to get those jobs. These are new jobs in Nevada for Nevadans. It will mean another 16,000 indirect jobs in the community for a total of 22,500 jobs created. It will mean the addition of 4% to the state's gross domestic product and more than a 20% increase in the regional GDP. Again, get your arms around those numbers. And arguably, most important is what positive impact this project will have on our university and K-12 education systems. Because of the benefits the Gigafactory will generate for Nevada, research dollars will flow to our universities, and our K-12 system will receive a direct $35 million contribution from Tesla.
Okay, so that was the governor of Nevada. I mean, that's terrific news. But now we're going to hear from the governor of New York State, and he's got news that's about half as good, but it's still terrific news. So, John, hit it.
And good evening, everyone. It could be a major economic boost for Buffalo.
One of the world's largest solar panel production plants will be in our own backyard with 3,000 permanent jobs. Here's where it's all supposed to come together, near the corner of South Park and Abbey along the waterfront. This is a former brownfield site where Republic Steel used to operate. We're seeing new renderings of the massive complex tonight. Solar City is investing $5 billion. So how much will this cost taxpayers? News 4's Lou Raguse is live at the construction site tonight. Lou?
Taxpayers will contribute $750 million. It's more than this project was initially going to cost, but now it creates many more jobs. This is the centerpiece of the Buffalo Billion.
The announcement was full of excitement.
Wow, wow, wow. What a day, huh?
And if everything turns out the way Governor Andrew Cuomo promises, it'll be the single largest job creation project in recent Buffalo history. Solar City, the largest solar power installer in the United States, will do its manufacturing in Buffalo after building a 1.2 million square foot facility.
And the size of the facility went from about 250,000 square feet to over 1.2 million, the largest in the Western Hemisphere.
Last year, Governor Cuomo announced Silveo Solar Company would anchor the Riverbend Commerce Park in South Buffalo with $225 million from the state to create 850 jobs. Then Solar City purchased Silveo, putting the future of the development in question. But the state upped its investment to $750 million, and Solar City decided to move forward in Buffalo, providing $5 billion over 10 years. And the number of permanent jobs Governor Cuomo now promises is 3,000.
This was, I think, the single most exciting day I've had in Buffalo.
When people think of Buffalo now, they're not just going to think of chicken wings and the bills and snow. They're going to think of the largest production site for solar panels in the Western Hemisphere.
With 3,000 jobs, it will very quickly become one of the biggest businesses in Buffalo and Erie County.
3. They broke ground on construction, and LP Simonelli is expected to have the facility ready to open in the first quarter of 2016. The state will own the building and equipment, and manufacturers will have to come to Buffalo to use it. They're hoping more companies will share it with Solar City. They call it the crowning achievement of Governor Cuomo's Buffalo Billion Initiative. I spoke with some of Governor Cuomo's critics. They say the project's not as good as it looks because it requires taxpayers to pay $250,000 per permanent job created.
Guys, did you see how excited Governor Cuomo was? He was like a father at the maternity ward. I mean, really. And when you're creating 3,000 jobs in your community, you're giving birth to 3,000 jobs. Never mind the fact that you're still going to need 3,000, you're creating 3,000 construction jobs. So both of these places, now the Gigafactory is going to be for Tesla, Elon Musk for Tesla, and Solar City, Elon Musk is chairman of the board. So he's creating those jobs in Buffalo. And guys, the other thing, we're going to play another clip from Solar City just to add more validity to the Buffalo project. And then we got something else that Elon Musk is going to do, which is going to blow you away. So let's watch a second Solar City clip.
Happening this afternoon, a major announcement at Buffalo's Riverbend Commerce Park, where the state is spending millions to help develop high-tech businesses. This map shows you where more than 1,000 people are one day expected to work at Solar City. The governor is expected to speak there. It's where News 4's Ed Dranch is live for us this noon. Ed?
Hi, Jordan. Good afternoon to you. Welcome to Riverbend. Construction crews have already started working ahead of the ceremonial 1 o'clock groundbreaking. Now, in the shadow of downtown Buffalo, and one of the tallest towers in the city that sits virtually empty, what's coming here is said to be one of the crown jewels of the Queen City. Initial steps of development are underway at the Riverbend site in South Buffalo, with dump trucks and excavators in place ready to officially break ground. Solar City will become part of the Queen City, and it's been months in the making.
We're looking at advanced manufacturing here. We're looking at how can we create photovoltaics that are higher percentage yields, and with that, therefore, more skilled labor and higher skilled labor to do that.
A skilled workforce that could translate into more than 1,000 jobs in Western New York.
This really all started with a vision that we had back in 2008 when the city purchased this land to create more opportunity for shovel-ready sites for development so that we could create more jobs.
Originally, Silveo was going to be one of the anchor tenants at this site, but the company was recently bought by Solar City. Elon Musk is the owner of the company. He's also the CEO of Tesla Motors.
And obviously, the demand grows exponentially as the price drops. And you can imagine that it really grows at an enormous pace if we're able to compete with grid power electricity with no government incentives.
Now, Solar City will be the largest solar panel manufacturer in the world, clearing the way for a growing clean renewable energy industry in Buffalo. Solar City is a $6 billion company, billion with a B, and it's coming right here to Buffalo. So this is a really big deal for Western New York. Governor Cuomo is expected here around 1 o'clock with hundreds of guests. We'll have live coverage for you tonight on News 4 at 5 and 6 about what his announcement actually is. We're live in South Buffalo this afternoon, Edge Ranch, News 4 at noon.
Ed, thanks for taking us there.
Guys, isn't that terrific news? I mean, they're already starting to build the plant. Now, the plant, you heard the one guy say, the plant is going to be 1.2 million square feet. Do you know how big that is? Me neither. But what I did was, I looked up the square footage of the Empire State Building, and the Empire State Building is 2,158,000 square feet. So this is about 60% of the size of the biggest thing, the thing our state is named after, the Empire State, and half of that is going to be making solar power, solar panels. That's progress. And all the jobs, the technical jobs are going to be starting at $45,000 to $50,000. That's $25 an hour, plus benefits. You can go in and work like a gentleman or a lady, equal pay. Sorry, Joe, Tesla and Elon Musk pay their women the same amount of money as they pay their men. That's what they, because they believe in that. And you know what, Joe? If you work overtime for Tesla, they pay you for that too. I know you don't like to hear this thing because you think it interferes with profits, but it doesn't. It makes people happy. So let's show you the next trick Tesla's got up its sleeve. John, hit it. Guys, what's it going to be? What are they going to do? What are they going to announce? The stock ran up. The stock was up like 25 points in anticipation. It's the Model S, and they're going to make the Model D. Guys, you know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking that they want to start offering in the Model X. When they make the Model X, it's going to be four-wheel drive. The regular Teslas are just rear-wheel drive. So that could be a possibility. Or maybe they figured out a way to put solar panels in the Tesla itself so it could charge itself while it's sitting in a parking lot. Or, you know, Teslas are so quiet that people can't hear them coming. So maybe they're going to come up with some sound mechanism that'll beep, 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 you know, like the things when they back up, so that this way you don't run people over. And guys, we're going to run out the clock showing you what the Model X looks like. So John, just run it, and we'll just let it go.
I'm going to open both of them at once. Okay. Get the dramatic. Oh, yeah.